r/AskReddit. What's the strangest punishment your parents ever gave you? Forced to smell dog breath. Because if we have to deal with the filth from your mouth, then you have to deal with the filth from its mouth. I got this on numerous occasions. It sounds silly at first, but it was anything but at the time. I begged them to give me anything but that. Like for swearing. My mom always told me I would end up in prison. As punishment, she would make me sit in timeout under an office desk with a slap-back chair turned upside down on top so the back covered the opening like bars. Come dinner time she fed me hard rolls and water, because that's what they serve in prison. I found out years later, while not good food, prison food is much better than hard rolls and water. I was deathly afraid of my basement, and the threat for not adhering to lights out time was being forced to sleep in the basement for the night. Anyway, I forget what I was doing, but I was up to no good one night, probably reading comic books with a flashlight or something. I got sent to sleep in the basement, and was pretty much up all night being super scared. It was threatened a lot, but I think it only actually happened once. I was the smartest kid. My aunt tried once to threaten me that the boogeyman will take me to the basement if I don't behave and eat me. Can you hear him roar? My 4-yo smart mouth, auntie, you know better. That's the boiler. She said I was super condescending, and that made her quit. Then one day she broke a wooden spoon whipping my ass, and I still tense up hearing the drawer clang open to this day. Dad made me splice together his old 8mm vacation films into a Vine-style highlight reel after I hurt his feelings by refusing to see Chef with him. Why did you refuse to watch it with him? And have you watched it with him since then? What did you think about his vacation films? Not really a strange punishment, but it turned out strangely I think. When I was probably 5 or 6, something happened. Literally can't remember what I did to deserve the punishment that caused my parents to send me to my room with no lights allowed on and the door closed. I'd never been able to sleep with the door closed and at least a light on in the hall or something till then. This time, I just went to sleep after a while in there with no lights, and that was the last time I needed lights on or the door open when I went to bed. Worked out well from my point of view. Edit. Wow, this kinda blew up over the weekend. I should say that I grew up during the late 60s when spanking was just a normal thing too. I don't remember ever actually getting spanked though. I dunno. My parents were never cruel to us when we were children. In fact, maybe I was just sent to my room and I just didn't turn on the light myself. Goodness knows I could have. The switch was on the inside of my room. I might have just pouted on my bed till I fell asleep and realized later that I didn't have the light on. It was around 50 years ago or so. I remember that it happened, but I don't remember the specific circumstances. My parents routinely took away my library card when I did something worth punishing, so I memorized it. When they caught on, they refused to go to the library with me for the duration of my punishment. So I started volunteering at the library once a week, so they had to take me. When I was 10, mom would take my Northeast's games for a week. When I was 13, mom would take my SNES games for a week. When I was 16, mom would take my blank floppy disks for a week. I didn't explain the mistake to her until I moved out. I got a bad grade on a math test in elementary school. As my dad dropped me off for the day, I quickly told him he needed to sign something, the test. He was so furious that even though I was already late for school, he drove the 2 miles back home, spanked me and made me walk to school. I was so late. If I cursed, my mom would make me go into the bathroom and say every curse I knew while looking in the mirror so I could see how ugly I made myself look while cursing. Well, I learned that if I wanted to curse with impunity, all I had to do was say ass and get sent to the bathroom where I could say any curse I could think of, punishment free, for as long as I wanted. Lol. Accidentally taught you venting/coping skills. Neat. For some reason my parents allowed my brother and I to have a very basic bow and arrow which we were allowed to shoot at a cardboard box in the backyard. I, being very young and very dumb, crawled into the box while my brother was firing. Parents were not pleased, and to demonstrate how dangerous what I had done was, they made me lay on the couch for the whole day and pretend I was in a hospital bed. I mean, if you were an active kid and weren't allowed to move or play with toys, boring TV and bland food, I can see that as a punishment. Still weird though. This really just describes what I did today. If you had no TV then I could see it, but he was on the couch, so unless the family vacated the room just to perform this strange punishment, then I doubt it. Me and my sister were fighting after I tried to steal some of her chili fries and she stabbed me with a fork. Dad took us out back and tied us up face to face with a rope. Told us when you figure out how to work together you will be able to get out. Did you work together and get out? After we stopped spitting on each other. Yes. Are you too? In fact, llamas? Yes, I can confirm. I'm the mom. I would get grounded to the front porch because when I was grounded in my room I would entertain myself with literally anything, even lint from the carpet. So my dad finally had enough and made me sit on the front porch, and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone except to say that I'm grounded and can't talk. Random stranger walks by. Hi, I'm grounded. My dad said I can't talk to you. Hi grounded, I'm dad. Rips off mask. This was a test son, I'm proud of you. The buck rag. Still have nightmares. For those who don't know, a buck rag is a rag that's been rubbed all over a sweaty, oily, piss-soaked billy goat in rut and is often used for goat breeding purposes. In our Alabama town, it became popular for parents to use these to punish children. Goat farmers would even sell the rags for the purpose. Basically, the teenager would be taken outside and the parents would remove the buck rag from the jar, drape it over the kid's face, and tie a knot in the back. Plenty of room to breathe, no room to avoid the smell. I never saw why everyone feared it so much until my parents gave it to me one night for sneaking around with my boyfriend at night. I puked a lot. This is like redneck waterboarding. The rest of the US, is it abuse to spank a child? Maybe, maybe not. Alabama, jit the goat cum rag. Cletus. We gonna discipline. Withheld dinner and I was only allowed to have bread and butter. My mother is a terrible cook, so I was super okay with this. My stepsister was denied dinner once because my dad decided the whole family was going to share this giant nacho plate and that was our only option for dinner. My stepsister and I were close, so later I made and snuggled her a PB&J sandwich. Later that evening everyone but her stepsister was violently ill from the nachos. I made and snuggled her a PB&J sandwich. Truly, a sandwich made with tender love and care. Headache. I don't even think I can blame that on autocorrect. Just clumsy thumbs. When I was little, my mom's go-to punishment was to make me kneel on uncooked rice for about 15 minutes. Had to keep a straight back or else the time was increased. She did this because that was how her mom punished her and her brother. She eventually stopped using this punishment after she set some clear boundaries with my very controlling grandmother. She never felt right making me do it. My little sister never had to go through it. I kind of resented that for a while, but eventually was grateful she didn't experience it. Filipino family or Southeast Asian, fairly common old school punishment back in the days of my parents and their parents, etc. There's also squatting, hands extended with books balanced on top, standing in a corner with books balanced on your head. These being common school punishments. I was being a dick as a teen. I think I was 15 and tormenting my little brother by grossing him out. Stuff like burping in his face when he didn't expect it, making him smell my feet, etc. And he really hated it. It made me laugh and I called him a pussy for being grossed out so easily. After he came to her crying one day about it, my mom warned me that if I didn't stop, I'd be very sorry. I didn't listen. Worst mistake of my childhood. My mom ran a small doggy daycare / pet grooming business. The next time I did this to my brother, she put me to work cleaning filthy dog kennels, without gloves, and without a scooper. Worse, she introduced me to what dog anal glands are, which groomers often have to express. Around 3 times a day that week, I had to express dog anal glands. I was not allowed to wear gloves. I puked. Every single time. She planned on the punishment lasting all week, but my bro asked her to let me off the hook after he saw how defeated and broken I looked by Wednesday. My parents said I was playing too much Skyrim. when it came out, so they took the router with them to work every day. Good thing you don't need internet to play an offline single player game. LMAO, my parents definitely did not understand technology and they'd do stuff like this, but even less effective. Like they'd turn the screen off and assume that meant the entire machine was shut down and everything was lost. Or like everything was plugged into a power strip, so they'd take the power strip away but all the plugs and outlets were still right there. So one time my mom kept holding the off button down, but I was sitting there on the screen with the mouse and keyboard and a window would pop up asking whether I actually wanted to turn the computer off, so I just kept clicking no, leave the computer on. She could not for the life of her understand why it didn't work.
3, 2, 1, jump!